Hello there, it's Jean from the Inky Studio, and welcome to part 4 of the Stamperia Forest Folio tutorial. And I'm hoping this will be the last installment for putting this together. Uh, if you have not seen part 1 or the other parts, I'm going to put part 1 down below so you can start there. And please subscribe so that you can watch other tutorials and know when I post journals and such as that. So I really love to have your company. Uh, Anyways, today we're going to be working on the envelopes here that flap open on the back cover. And I have, as I think I had mentioned previously, I've chosen these envelopes here, and these are envelopes they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. They're like the size envelopes you get if you make handmade cards. These are the ones that I'm using, but if you don't have those, you can just use a regular envelope. All right, but there will be a little extra step you'll need to do with this envelope if it's got like this deep curve inside there. So I will address that as we go along. So the first thing we need to do is we need to attach the envelopes. And I lay one that's opened, the opening's up towards me, and the other one is the opening's away from me. And this one is going to get glued right on to the other one there. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to flip these over because it'll be easier to glue together if I do that. So, well, you know what? I should have just started out and said, put this one with the address side out and put this one with the opening. That would have been easier, right? It's a little early in the morning, I guess. So I'm going to glue just this flap. Oh, you may want to go around. Oh, that's the other thing too. You may want to go around and glue little areas that aren't quite glued down quite so well. I know that on these business envelopes, quite often this area here is not well glued. So you may want to go around and just do that on your envelopes so you don't have that problem. I think I glued that down. And now we're just going to glue this flap, and careful just to do the flap area. I'm not bringing the glue down all the way to that fold line because when I glue this together, I want this to be just a little on the other side of that glue line. So you can see where that's the fold line, and here is a little bit left, just a little bit. And that's to help with it folding over freely without any encumbrance with it. All right, so here then is our completed envelope. And then when this goes into our journal, so when we glue it into the back cover, and it's going to go, of course, right here, and we've already cut this out, we're going to put this behind that sheet, wherever it is you would like it, and we're going to glue it on that way, and then glue the sheet and the envelopes together. So we'll glue it to this one first, and then we'll glue the whole unit inside. All right, so let's talk about decorating it. And I will show you some things that I chose to do. Now that we have gotten in all the critical parts, we've gotten in our fox, and we've cut all the designs that we need to save. Now you can use anything of your scraps that you so desire. You may want to do it totally different than the way I'm doing it now, but I'm just going to show you some little tips and tricks that I came across. So for this front part here, I chose the bird because he wasn't in here. So I put the bird there. I am cutting this section or this piece just like a 1/2 inch shorter than this side because I'm making a pocket and I want to be able to see to pull things in and out. And so I'm making it quite a bit shorter than the rest of it all the way around. So that's what I'm doing for this front part here. Now for the insides, if you will look at, and you don't have to do this, but if you will look at the cover of your Stamperia pad, you'll see this section where they've got, you know, these sections, especially here, these 4 outside parts. The inside parts have this big label that kind of like impedes it, but you have these 4 sections here that might just perfectly fit on your envelope. And even if it's not a perfect fit, you can cut it down, and even if it is a little bit shorter than your envelope, this is going to act as a tuck spot or a small pocket, and that's what I'm using these for. So I'll have one here, and then I'll have the bigger pocket there. So that's what I chose for this area, but you don't have to. Just thought I'd point that page out to you that you can use that too. You might forget about it. Now, if you're using these type of envelopes, then you don't have this straight area. This is how I would handle it. And there's, you know, multitude ways of doing envelopes, but this is just the way I would handle these envelopes. And then as I would cut a piece of the design paper, but I would try to choose one. I wouldn't choose my favorite one. I would choose ones that I didn't care if people saw the whole design or not. So I would definitely cut it the whole length of the envelope, and you're going to cover this whole section up, but you're just going to leave like a 1/2 inch of an opening there. Glue just on the envelope because you don't want to glue the inside of your pocket. Put down your sheet, okay? And then you can put in the other pocket. Okay, and then you can put in another piece for a pocket there, because you're going to have to fill in this gap. Because if you put it in like so, it's going to be really, you're going to keep running into this area when you put things in and out, and it just will be more difficult. So that's my tip for using these envelopes. Hopefully that was clear. Now for the inside whole sheet here, I am going to put in, and I cut a piece for that too. Okay, so I put in a piece, right, with just a little border all the way around, right, so that's my backing. And then I'm going to make a pocket here, and I'm going to make this slant pocket. Now, I like making slant pockets that have a little bit on each side here, because I have found that when I cut from corner to corner, sometimes this begins to tear up a little bit because you're putting things in and out. So by giving it just a little bit more, I think it's a sturdier pocket. So that's my view on slant pockets, but you can do however has worked for you in the past. Please do that. But I'll show you how I did this pocket. And that is simply, I first decide, do I want it to slant this way or slant this way? So I want mine to slant this way. So I am going to measure anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And that's your preference. However wide you want this border to be. You may want only 1 inch, you may want 1.5 inches. Okay, and so I mark there where I want it to be. All right. Now usually I flip it over and do the other side so I don't see my pencil marking. But you got to remember, when you do that, you're doing it on the opposite. But I think it might be more visually helpful if I did it this way. So I'm going to mark it there, and then I'm going to come up over here and measure my 1.5 inches, and I'm going to mark it there. So although it's hard to see, I have a mark there and I have a mark here. Now I'm going to take my cutter And I am going to cut from this mark to that mark. All right. So I cut between those two marks, and now I have my slant pocket. Okay, that's how I do it. Now you obviously have your own way perhaps, and just thought I'd show you that. So before we move on from the pockets, I wanted to show you how I glue these pockets in. And I only glue them on the two sides. Just like that. Oops, glue. Oh dear. Just on the two sides, like so. I had a glob there in my glue. I do not glue along here or along there. Okay. So that I try to be careful with. And we'll just glue this onto here. Now for the original, or for the prototype, I glued this whole back, this beige part, I glued the whole thing inside. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just glue 3 sides and then have a pocket come down in that area. So that's an option for you to think about if you like to do it that way. I just thought about it. Sometimes when you do things the second time around, you get new thoughts or new ways of seeing things, and I'm sure that that will happen to you as you make this project. So we'll just put this in here like so, and I will have something, I'll have a tag peek up out of that there so you can see to pull it. All right, so that then is all set. Now let's get our background piece here, and you can determine you want it to set towards the bottom, in the middle, at the top. You can decide, you know, where you would like this to go. I think I ended up putting mine towards the bottom, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, and then we want to, okay, we also want to come in here with some washi tape, because this area is going to get folded a lot. And so I'm going to glue the washi tape in. I usually do glue it in if I want it to be there permanently like that. I just think that over time it's best to do it that way. That way it will be reinforced. I'm gonna cut that little piece off. There we go. So now we'll glue our envelope flap to the back. And of course, anytime we glue a fold line, we want to make sure that it'll flip over easily. So we don't want to cover up that fold right along here. We want to come just a little short of it. And I think I'm going to have mine down towards the bottom. I think that's how I'm going to do mine. So we want to make sure that everything just folds over nicely. Okay. Like so. Okay. There we go. And now we will glue the whole sheet to the inside, and I usually align up the edge of the envelope to the edge of the folder. There we go. And make sure this fold, of course, is free to fold. But you don't glue over this fold over here. Just place her in. There you are. That looks great. That looks great. Now we can get our fox. So we want to make sure that our bottom flap is over the side flap so that our ephemera will slide in and out easily. And sometimes I just try to glue it anyways. And I see I need to miter this corner a little bit. Alrighty. And this one here needs to be mitered. Okay. All right. And I might even go to this side of the page just slightly, just so that the fold line. All right, so I like it this way because when you open it up, oh, surprise, there's a fox. Anyhow, this was a fun pack to work with. It was just fun seeing how I can get all the animals in here. I had a good time with that. Right, so this is finished. Yay! Now let's, of course, we need to cut, a page for the cover, so that fits on there, so you'll need to do that. And of course, just choose whatever paper, looks good to you, and we'll eventually be putting this on in our pocket here eventually on the front. You can do that right now, but I'm not doing it right this minute, but you can do that right now. And then of course you're going to need to cut a piece for the back. Now this is what I did for the back. I had a lot of scraps left over, and I really wanted to save a couple of whole sheets for whatever odd reason. Sometimes I just kind of get that way. I get a little OCD about that. I don't want to cut a whole sheet just for a little section. So I picked up my scraps. Plus I found this one. Oh, the little foxes. I really like that. And so for the back, you can use your scraps up and you can make a pocket. Okay, you don't have to make the whole, just one sheet or one continuous sheet. You can use your scraps and make up a pocket. So that's what I cut here for the back, just to show you what I did, but of course you can do whatever you need to do. The spine, you need to decide now, are you going to sew your signatures directly into the folio, or are you going to make this so that you can remove pages, sort of like Mendori Traveler's Notebook style, which you have two ways that I can think of this moment to do it. You can put your eyelets, put an eyelet in each place, right, and put through elastic if you have an eyelet setter. But if you don't have an eyelet setter, that's all right, because you can take a piece of ribbon, a piece of, here, I can just take this piece of twine. You can take anything and you can just tie this, and then put your sheets of paper. And, oh, I should have a sheet of paper here. Let's pretend this is a sheet of paper. You can put your paper in just like that, tie it, and then they'd be folded over. But you can do it that way. All right, so those are, at least 3 ways I can think that you can put your signature in. Or you may say, heck, I don't want a signature. And that's okay too. All right. You'll need to cut 2 pieces that are about 3/4 of an inch. So you want them to be just a little bit smaller than your spine. So you can measure your spine and take off a hair, because you want to be able to fold, make sure that everything is folding freely. And so you'll, if you're going to sew them in, you'll want to glue this in now, and then sew your signatures in, and then glue the back onto it, over it. All right. If you're going to be doing the eyelets or even the ties, I would recommend you put in another piece of cardstock on here, just because it very much will get a lot of wear and tear, And so I would recommend you cut a little piece of cardstock and glue right inside here. Well, you can glue your, I would glue your decorative paper on the cardstock, cut it out, and then glue that in here. That's how I would do it if you were going to do the eyelets and also the back. So you got to glue everything in at the same time, of course, before you put your eyelets in. This is what I did for this closure. You can use almost any punch. Let me pull down a couple here. You can use this punch. This punch was pretty popular for a while. If you've got this one, I don't want to shine in your eyes, but there's this one here. And you can use this, and you can just use a plain round one, just a round die cut or punch, whatever you have. You can use that. That would be perfectly fine. Let's just, I'll just show you really fast. You can put your eyelet there, and it would just be like a little round one coming out. Okay. The key is that you want these to be really heavy. Don't want them to be just flimsy cardstock. So you'll want to get your file folder scrap. So you want to do that. And then use your cardstock. So use your coordinating cardstock, whatever that was. Whatever you made your pocket out of, you're going to use a coordinating cardstock. And you want to use one for the top and one for the bottom. And the reason you want the two is because you're going to see the top, you're going to see the bottom. Okay, so you want to cover your file folder. And this creates a wonderful tab that is nice and sturdy and strong. Now, I don't know what kind of setter you have for eyelets. You know, with my Crocodile, I can go through all these layers, but maybe yours is not that heavy duty. So you may want to put the hole in the file folder first, glue on this, redo the hole, and then glue on this and redo the hole. You may want to do it in 3-step process. I don't know. I just put that out there as a tip in case you need that. When you make these then, so let me just go ahead and let me get this prepped up. So I prepared my 2 little tabs here with the eyelets in them. And we will glue 1 tab down on the front. So let's find the center of that and give that a mark. I guess I could have done that off screen, right? Well, it'll only take a second. So we'll put this in the center, right here in this area. And when we glue it down, we want to make sure that our eyelet is clearing the file folder. You know, we don't want to glue it like this. We want to make sure it's clearing the file folder there. So I put it like right on the edge. That's where I put mine. Okay, so let's get that first one down. All right, I lost a little footage there, but all that I really did was I put down masking tape over that tab. And it's not so much to make it, you know, glued down or anything. Why I like to do it is so that when you put your paper over that tab, because it's pretty thick, there's less of a peak and valley feeling in here. I mean, it's still there, but it's not quite as prominent. So this paper is nice and heavy. You don't really have to worry a whole lot about it, so it's not absolutely necessary. But if you were to use a thinner paper, maybe, you know, this would help ease that hump a little better. You probably aren't going to notice it on the front because of the pocket, but you might notice it more on the back. So now you can do the back, and you just, match up the area. I marked the middle. I kind of put it down, but then I also sort of eyeballed it up a little bit to kind of get them pretty even, like that. And you can, and I'm going to, now that I like this perfect place, I'm going to just trace it there. And you can glue on the back, and I will get that ready. And then once the back is on, then of course you can put on the back papers and put on the front papers and your pocket. So let me just get all that done, and we'll get to that point. Right, it's finished. Can you believe that? Isn't that a great feeling? A great feeling. Now, for these ties in here, I take about 15 inches of twine or string or ribbon or whatever you got. Double it over, put in the double fold, and just bring it on through, just like you would do a tag. And then I would do a little bit of glue. I'd put some glue there, right where it comes down together. I'll put a little dab of glue in that area. All right, just to keep it there. And then you can just tie them. Okay, and also, if you're not going to do this type of closure, you might have your favorite ways of doing it, but the easiest way would just be to put a ribbon in here, and of course you would put the ribbon and glue it down before you put any of the paper down. And you can also just use that kind of a closure. You don't have to use these, but these are kind of fun, something different. I don't know if I've ever done it this way before. And there you go, there it is done. And if you have been following and completed yours, you have my permission to go out and get yourself a treat. For me, that would be an ice cream cone, but I don't know what it is for you. But you go out, you pat yourself on the back, and you go treat yourself, right? You just treat yourself, okay? You make sure you do that, because this is an accomplishment. It truly is. And like I say, I don't know that any one procedure is all that difficult, but certainly there are a lot of steps, and it is quite time consuming, I realize. So I'm going to put elastic in here. Let me show you on the prototype what I did. I put elastic right here. I doubled it up. I put in 2 rows, and then I'm going to put papers and folded on that, and then the papers can come in and out. So now the only thing left really to do is to make your ephemera, and that's something you can have fun with. And you've got your pockets to fill. You've got the pocket back here if you chose to do that. You got the one here. You can just go have a good time with that. And I will have a flip through of the finale. But other than that, we are done. So thank you for sticking it out with me. And I hope you have fun with this. I hope you learned some techniques perhaps that you can try on other projects. So we will talk to you real soon. Bye.